Early childhood and family socialization, gender roles and family dynamics. I was the youngest of three children and the only girl in the family. Growing up with two older brothers, I spent most of my time keeping up with them, wearing their old clothes and getting involved in their activities. I was a self proclaimed tomboy, which became a big part of my identity. In a way, I was socialized into a more masculine role because of the environment I was in. While I was biologically female, I didn't feel pressured to follow the traditional feminine norms that society often associates with girls. My brothers didn't care about what I wore or what I did, so I just followed their lead, embracing activities like sports and playing outside. We lived in a small town in Indiana when I was 3. We moved to Crown Point, about 35 minutes away from Chicago. It was a big change for me, but it also came with something special. A new pet cat, which we named him Jackson, who became my companion during those early years. I remember being comforted by him, especially when life started changing in ways I couldn't understand. For a lot of my early years, my mom was a stay at home mom and my dad worked long hours. I felt like the family was solid. My parents hosted block parties, and the whole neighborhood felt like one big extended family. We were close with everyone around us, and all the kids would play together, making it feel like I had a whole bunch of brothers instead of just two. Divorce in early adolescence, a shift in family dynamics. But everything changed when I was 7 years old. My parents got divorced, and the entire family dynamic shifted. My mom moved out, and it was like a switch flipped in our household. My dad worked even longer hours to support us, and my brothers and I were left to take care of ourselves. At such a young age, I had to grow up quickly. I was the only girl, and without my mom around, I started to fill that void in ways I didn't fully understand at the time. By the time I was 9, I knew how to do laundry, cook, and even check my older brother's homework. We'd sit at the kitchen table together after dinner every night, making sure all of our assignments were done before we could relax. Sociologically speaking, this was a major moment of family reconstructing for me. With my mom gone and my dad busy working, I had to take on more responsibility, especially within the home. I quickly became the go to person for household chores and was the one making sure everything was running smoothly. This was my way of contributing to a family that was going through a lot of changes. I became more independent than many of my peers, but that independence came from necessity rather than choice. This also meant that my childhood didn't involve many of the more traditional feminine experiences that some of my friends had, like going shopping with my mom or getting my nails done. When I did see my mom, it felt like a bit of novelty. Our relationship during the first couple of years of the divorce was different and very distant, and I didn't get the chance to explore those traditionally feminine roles that other girls seemed to embrace with their family. Transition into adolescence and new family and new dynamics. When I was around 10 or 11 years old, my dad met my stepmom, and that added another layer of complexity to our family. Suddenly, I wasn't the only girl in the house anymore. My stepmom had a daughter who was the same age as me. I'm a month older, and that felt like a huge shift. For years, I had been the only girl, and I had my place in the family. Now I had to adjust to sharing that space, both literally and emotionally. This transition was hard at first, and I'll admit that I struggled with it. But over time, I learned how to navigate this new family structure. My relationship with my stepsister was awkward at first, but we eventually became closer, particularly as we shared similar experiences growing up. This shift in my family dynamic was another moment where I had to adjust to my role within the home. My son became a guiding force in helping me embrace more traditional femininity, such as shopping for clothes and trying makeup. During this time, I started to shift away from my tomboy phase. It wasn't that I completely abandoned my old identity, but as I entered middle school, I began to explore more feminine aspects of myself. I started wearing dresses and experimenting with makeup, things I hadn't really thought about before. This was my way of conforming to the gender norms that were becoming more pronounced in my life, even though I was still trying to figure out how to balance the different sides of myself. High school educational achievement and social recognition. By the time high school rolled around, things began to shift again. My relationship with my mom became stronger, and she started taking me out for all the girly things I had missed during my early adolescence, shopping for clothes, getting my nails done, and attending my dance recitals and softball games. This reconnection with her felt really special, and it was a huge part of my high school experience. We had a lot of fun together, and it helped me to fully embrace my femininity. In high school, I also became more involved in extracurricular activities and achieved recognition for my achievements. I won homecoming court my freshman year, which was one of the best feelings of my life. It wasn't just about the title, it was about being seen, being celebrated. It was a moment of social validation where I felt like I truly belonged. My family was so proud of me, and it felt like all my hard work and effort had paid off. At the same time, I had to start thinking seriously about my future. I joined a nursing program in high school, which was a big decision for me. While nursing has historically been a feminized profession, it also felt like a path that allowed me to combine my desire to help people with my interest in the medical field. This is an example of gender socialization. Even though I initially didn't think much about it, I eventually saw how the expectations of gender influenced my career choice. However, I took ownership of that decision and chose nursing not because it was expected of me, but because it aligned with my skills and interests. In addition to the nursing program, I became certified as a CNA before graduation, which was an achievement I was really proud of. This is an example of social mobility through education by acquiring new skills and certifications. I was positioning myself for future success. I wasn't just following a path that was set for me, I was actively working to create my own future. Junior year change and challenges. Junior year was a time of transition for me in a different way. My oldest brother moved out, which was strange. Even though he was 7 years older than me and I knew it was coming, it was still a big change for me. It was another reminder that our family dynamic was shifting in ways I couldn't control. My middle brother and I stayed close, but it felt different. During this time, I also started dating my high school boyfriend, who would later become my first serious relationship. We spent all of our time together, went to every dance, and basically lived in each other's worlds for 3 years. This relationship was formative for me. It taught me about love, trust, and the complexities of romantic relationships during adolescence. At the same time, I started attending two different schools for my junior and senior year. I spent half the day in a nursing program at a school about 30 minutes away from my home, and the second half at my regular high school. It was a lot of work, but I was proud of myself for balancing it all. This experience was an example of institutional structure structures influencing my path. My ability to attend two different schools was due to the way educational systems allowed me to access dual enrollment programs. Graduation, moving on, new beginnings. Graduating was both exciting and overwhelming. I earned technical honors and a CNA license, and my dad threw me a big graduation party to celebrate. I was proud but also anxious about what was to come. I had spent my whole life in the same town, and now I had to decide where to go for college. I was the only one in my family who had the grades to go away to college, and my dad was insistent that I should leave. I was nervous about leaving my friends and everything I knew, but eventually I chose Indiana University. I applied at the last possible moment, and when I toured the campus, I knew it was the place for me. The campus, the atmosphere, and the opportunities made me feel like I belonged. This decision was a significant exercise in agency, even though there was pressure and expectations from my family and society. I chose a path that felt right for me. I decided to pursue nursing, specifically cosmetic nursing, which would allow me to combine my passion for art and my desire to work in the healthcare. College in the future, my path. Now I'm in college, navigating a new chapter of my life. My family is proud of everything I've accomplished so far, and I'm excited to see where this journey takes me. I'm learning more about myself every day and continuing to navigate the world through the lens of agency, making choices that reflect who I am and where I want to go. Through all the changes, family dynamics, gender expectations, and educational opportunities, I've learned that resilience and the ability to adapt are key. I'm ready to take on whatever comes next and to continue shaping my future based on the values I've developed along the way.